Okay, June 16th, 2020. I'm going to talk about something that's really heart of my heart that I've spent a lot of time on. I've watched it over the years, and that's the demise of the top salesman. This is one of the most remarkable things I've ever witnessed in sales. There's a guy who's just making tons of money. He's got a life people dream of, and they blow it. They absolutely blow it, and it's just incredible to me that happened. I think why I've been so interested in it is because I didn't want it to happen to me. So I was very, what would be the right word? I just kept an eye on people and watched and tried to figure out why they blew it and what were the reasons. So through the years, I've been able, some 30-something years, I've been able to kind of break it down to why people blow it. So that's where we're going to go today. Today is about the demise of the top salesman. And let me tell you something. I'm not here to kid you guys. Being a top salesman and making a lot of money is a hard thing. I know it sounds silly, but along with success, sometimes it's its own worst enemy. And that's biblical, by the way, because Satan doesn't want you to be successful. Satan wants you to fail. And then you've got your ego as well, and you really don't think you deserve it, and you don't think this is too good to be true, and so you self-sabotage yourself. And so I want to talk about what are the different things that the top salesman does to self-sabotage. So I've spent 30 years witnessing this and studying it and talking to people and trying to figure it out. So here we go. And again, the reason why is because I didn't want it to happen to me. And I've been, so I want to be able to catch it before it happened to me. And so that was part of the reason why I kept such a close eye on that kind of stuff. But now I'm going to share that with you guys, what I think the reasons why people fail. So here we go. Work ethic. Work ethic is the biggest one, and I'm just going to start off general and get specific. But the thing is, people get lazy, and it's just crazy, man. Because when you start making a lot of money, and it doesn't create a lot of effort, then all of a sudden you start getting lazy, as opposed to working harder, right? So a guy goes out and he hits 30 doors a day minimum. He's killing it. He's hitting 150 a week, and it happens exactly like we said it would. And by the way, that's not because I said it would or anything else. It happens like that because that's what happens. It's truth. It's truth whether we believe it or not. I just happen to believe it. That's why I love truth. That's why I love the Bible so much. The Bible is truth, and this is truth. If you just work hard, you will, in doing the right things, you will have success. So he's hitting 30 doors a day. He's doing really well. He's making more money than he ever dreamed of. And then all of a sudden his work ethic goes, right? So what happens is, I'm gonna get a pen and just show you, right? So basically what happens is he's going up, his income's going up, and whatever he thinks, I don't know, it's different with each people, but maybe it's 150,000 for one guy, maybe it's 100,000 for another, maybe it's 200 for another. But what happens about this time, he stops working hard, right? He stops working hard. And so now, it doesn't happen right away, right? He's still making money, he's still getting pats on the back, he's still getting rewards, he's still getting all this different stuff, but all of a sudden he stops working hard. And so eventually, maybe like a month later, 2 months later, all of a sudden his sales start to drop off. So now he's not making the kind of money he was, but he's got, a lot of times he still has the expenses, right? He's living the high life because he was making that kind of money, and all of a sudden his sales start to drop off because he wasn't working hard. Or what happens is he stops pounding. That's the big thing. When I say working hard, I'm basically most of the time referring to pounding. And so he stops pounding. So he doesn't have any fresh stuff coming in. He might be working hard on the deals he has going, but he's not managing his time well enough to where he's showing up at his job. He's staying there all day. He's going home. He's like, I'm working hard. This job would never get done if I wasn't here, which is a bunch of baloney, right? We have tremendous people in place that will take care of it. That's an ego thing, by the way. That's a total ego thing. You think you're the only one that can make this job go right. So anyway, what happens is all of a sudden the sales start to drop. But he's got a bunch of expenses, so he kind of gets after it a little bit, and they go up again, and they go down to maybe, let's call it 100,000. He gets after it again. He starts going up, and he starts getting up to 200,000 again. Well, then he does the same thing, right? I got it back. Yeah, I'm the man. Got another award. Everybody's patting me on the back. I'm doing great. And he stops working hard again. Again, he stops pounding. He stops getting new leads into the pipeline. Trust me, I don't care how good a salesman you are. If you don't get new customers, by pounding, you're not going to sell, right? I mean, sometimes people say, oh, try the best salesman around, blah, blah. I promise you, I've had it in my life. Where if I didn't pound, nobody's calling me. I'm not making any sales. I might have some leftover stuff I did a year ago, maybe a realtor calls, but nothing big happens generally unless I'm pounding, okay? So now he's going up and down. This whole cycle just repeats itself, this up and down thing. And then right about here, a couple months down the way, he says, I gotta quit, man. I gotta quit. Well, really, why? He goes, I gotta find something that's more steady. I can't take this up and down thing. Or he just has such an ego because he thinks that he's sold a lot at one time in his life that there's got to be something wrong with the company, there's the industry, whatever it is. So that's what happens. They end up, they stop pounding, and then it doesn't happen immediately, but eventually starts going down. And by the way, to turn that around is extremely difficult. That's why you got to be very careful. You should be like scared to death not to pound, because that is the first step of your demise, is when you stop pounding. I've had salesmen tell me I only work on referrals at other companies. Only work on referrals. I just laugh. That is the most ridiculous statement I've ever heard. Because first of all, that's great you work on referrals, but referrals will never be enough to sustain you. And then second of all, they only do it because they think there's something wrong with pounding, like that's somehow below them, that they just pound it first just to get started, but now I'm only going to work on referrals. That is not a salesman. And remember what I told you, most salesmen are horrible. That's just not me, trying to talk tough. I've done sales training, I've met salespeople. I can count the great salesmen on less than one hand. All right, they're great salesmen, pound every day, and they understand the importance of it. Okay, and then one other thing, very important thing. Look, it's not about the money. It's about your work ethic, right? Your work ethic is what builds character, and you're biblically mandated to work hard, right? So in Colossians 3:17, it says, he who does not work should not eat. He who does not work should not eat. Colossians 3:17. And the thing about that is, it doesn't say he who doesn't have to work should not eat. It says he who does not work should not eat. So even if you got all the money in the bank, your house is paid for, you can retire. By the way, retirement is not biblical. You should work hard. That's what a man or a woman does of character. Okay? All right, so that's the first thing. All right? So we already talked about the ego. The ego is a very dangerous thing. I fight it as well. You just got to be really careful. The problem with an ego, when you have an ego, is you stop learning, right? So many times I have guys I've seen in sales where they just get to a certain point and they think, okay, I got this. I learned it all. They stop reading books. They stop asking questions. They stop analyzing their own sales call. And if they don't get a sale, they just say, well, this wasn't meant to be. Every single sales call, you got to analyze what you did right and what you did wrong. It's not getting you to heaven any quicker. This is just good business, okay? So, and in fact, the ones you get, the ones that you actually sign them up, those are the best ones to do, because you didn't do everything right. Even when you get a deal, you still did everything wrong. So what I do is, Stephen Schaefer put this in my head. He called it a mind map, and you just go through this whole thing in your head, and every once in a while you get dang near everything right, and that's a wonderful feeling. You say, man, I nailed that one. But most of the time, 99% of the time, there's something you did wrong, and then you just put it in your mind, next time that guy says that, I'm going to say this as opposed to this. And you just go through it, and you study your profession. You listen to books on tape, or books, that's the way I used to do it, the cassettes. That's how old I am. But now they're on your phone. You can download them on Audible, and I've got tapes, books, everything, podcasts. There's all kinds of great stuff. And so what you do is, when you listen to that stuff, by the way, not everything in there is going to be great, but you're just looking for a couple ideas out of each one of those books and tapes. That is the best way to do it. So anyway, you're just constantly getting better. And if you ever think you can't get better, you are sadly mistaken, and I would be very, very scared. I would be very, very scared at that point, because that is the first step to your demise, when you don't think you can get better. Okay, the other thing with ego is, all of a sudden you start thinking you're the man, right? you start thinking that, the people in the office, they work for you. The company is, I know this is self-serving because I own the company. I'm just going to talk in generalities. The company, why are they making so much money? Why are they getting half the profits? Why is it, blah, 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 right? And, first of all, you got to be very, very careful with that, okay? Look, you're just selling it. You got the best job. Trust me, that's why I love sales. That's the best job. You don't have to put on the roof. You don't have to, buy the shingles. You don't have to run the office. All these people are so important, are so incredibly important, and you need to lift them up because they're helping you make money. You're running your own little business, and you need to lift up your people that were working that hard for you and thank them, particularly the crews, right? The crews, it's so interesting. A lot of times, not all the time, we have some great salespeople here, but many times I've caught myself where all I do is criticize, right? I hear about a job going well and I go, that's fantastic, but I never really say anything to the crew. I try to make it a point to call the crew all the time and thank them for their hard work, tell them they're awesome, and just be, sincerely grateful for how hard they're working. That's a great habit to have on every single job, right? Just tell whoever did great, just go through the whole list. Like when I get to check, or when I'm closing it out, that's usually when I go through who was part of this, and I'll try to make some calls, say, man, that was great, thank you for doing that. Austin, thanks for putting on the HVAC. Manuel, you did a fantastic job with the coding, thank you. Calling up Christy, you did a great job here. Just go through the whole list in your mind of who spent some time on this. The QC guys, Jace, Tyler Fisher, the truck driver, Brian. Just go through the whole list and just call them up and just get them pumped up. That's what a great person does. And when there's a company full of great people, that's a great company. There's not great companies, right? Companies aren't individuals. Companies are made up of people that are great people. And then it's a great company. So that's why I'm so careful who works here. I figure my job right now is just to be careful of who I hire so we only end up with great people, so we end up with a great company. All right? There we go. A couple more things. Salesmanship. I already talked about this. But you can always get better as a salesman, and you got to take pride in being a salesman. A salesman is an extraordinary job, right? And I said there's very, very few great salespeople out there. And so you want to become a great salesman. And what a great salesman does is he is very critical of what he does. Every word he says is calculated, right? Every phone call before he says, what am I trying to accomplish? How am I going to say this? Every meeting has a purpose. I don't just show up, right? What happens is sales guys get this ego, like I'm just showing up, see what happens. They should just be happy I'm here. No, I'm coming in to meet somebody. What do I want to accomplish? I want to make sure he knows what a great job the crew did. I want to make sure he knows what a great roof he has. I want to make sure this is extraordinary. This is an important one. I want him to know this is not normal that insurance paid for every penny of it and he's getting money back. I want to remind him how blessed we are of that, right? So every call, every meeting, everything has a purpose, right? Thank you cards. I can't tell you how much money thank you cards will make you. And then I'm so perplexed. Bad salespeople, they don't write thank you cards. I'll talk to a guy who's all excited about a job, or he's wondering why he didn't get a job, or he's waiting on a job. I go, did you send a thank you card? And they get real quiet. Yeah, I'm going to send that. No, you send that immediately. You got to do the little things consistently. That's what success is. Success is the little things done repeatedly. The correct little things done repeatedly. That's what success looks like. That's how you accomplish it. And you want to know what failure is? Is bad decisions repeated over and over and over and over and over again, right? Nobody gets married and says they're going to get divorced. But how do they end up getting divorced? How's that possible? They weren't planning on that. Oh, I just married the wrong woman. Well, no, I can tell you most of the time what's wrong is you just made a lot of little bad decisions throughout the time. Maybe you just got home late. You didn't think it was important to spend time together. You didn't think it was important to go on dates. You didn't think it was important to go on vacation. You didn't think it was important to take your family to church. You didn't think it was important to pray together, read the Bible together. You didn't think any of that was important. So all that stuff culminates over time, and then it's done. And the worst part about that is that by the time you realize it's done, it's too late. Many times it's too late. You've created so much damage. You can't reverse it. You can't reverse. So you got to be aware of this before it happens. Before it happens. Okay? So the last thing I got on the list is Satan. Satan. And what it is the devil comes to kill and destroy. He doesn't want you to be successful. He wants to put thoughts in your mind like you don't deserve this. And you're right, you don't deserve it. Let me be real clear, you don't deserve it. But if you work for the glory of God, and when you're successful, you give him the glory, then that's the proper protocol, that's the proper mindset you need to have. Let me just go through this for a minute. I was reading Brian Tracy's Psychology of Selling, and it's got some great stuff in it, but it's got some not so great stuff in it. I remember he, about halfway through the book, he says the reason why people don't make $500,000 is they don't think they're worth $500,000. So he has you say, in the mirror, I like myself, I'm worth $500,000, I'm this, I'm that, I. Too many I's going on. That should have been the first clue. I kind of believed that for a while, but it just didn't feel right. And the reason why it didn't feel right, because it's not biblical. The deal is, we work for the glory of God. We work super hard. Any blessings we have, we give him the credit. And we stay humble. Why? Because I'm a sinner. I'm a freaking dude that deserves to go to hell. I deserve to burn in hell for all the stuff I've done in my life. But by the saving grace of Jesus Christ dying on the cross, he sent his son to die for my sins. I can be glorified with God when I die. Now, start with that. I'm just a sinful son of a bitch. I don't deserve any of this. I'm just broken. I remember I used to, when I try to pump people up, oh man, you're awesome, you're great, you're awesome. And, I kind of stopped doing that. Because actually, a salesman, Stephen, kind of corrected me on it. He goes, I'm not awesome. And I was like, and then I went back to him and said, you're right. You're not awesome. I'm not awesome. We're just broken individuals saved by the grace of Jesus. That's all I know. And we're not awesome, but God is awesome. And because God is awesome, we can be awesome in sales. So with that proper mindset, you can make $1 million. Because if you end up thinking you're worth 500,000, 750, 250, you become this egomaniac. So that means if you think you're worth that, then you think the person who works in the office is only worth 50,000. And then the QC is worth 75. And you start labeling out what people are worth. None of us are worth it, right? But we're worth it to God. That's why he sent his only son to die on a cross. That's how this whole thing ties together, right? It's all biblical. So I'm hoping these are the things that you'll catch yourself. You'll understand this before it happens. Because it's a lot harder to explain this to somebody after they've gone over the edge. It's a lot harder to explain it. In fact, I can't most of the time. Most of the time it's too late. They are too far gone. Just like I said with a marriage, which is more important than salesmanship, sometimes you screwed up for so long, you blew it. You blew it. You can't fix it because sin has consequences. So anyway, I hope that helped you guys, and just keep that in your mind, and God be the glory.